Namaste and welcome to the Jyotishi YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about the 4 different types of astrologers. Is there a gradation in being an astrologer? Like, for example, let's say a doctor starts off with an MBBS, then specializes, right? And then goes into super specialization. So similarly, is there a gradation?
Yes. So as per our text, there is a clear gradation and clear differentiation. So since you talked about a doctor thing, we'll first compare Vedic medicine and the modern medicine that we have now. So as per Vedic medicine, there are basically 4 levels. So one talks about, it starts with something called Chikitsak. Chikitsak is a person who does evaluates and those kind of things. Next level is Bishak. It's called Bishak. So Chikitsak is a person, when there is a customer coming in, he evaluates and figures out what is the problem, gives him medicines and all that. Then there is something called Bishak, who there is an emotional and empathy factor in that particular person. So this concept is not there in modern medicine, So even if you are, FRCS and MRCP and all that, this concept of this Vedic concept, which was probably there for 5,000 years, is not there in modern medicine. So Bishak talks about the person's ability to understand the other person. So there is an emotional connect there from that perspective. And the third level is what is probably called as Vaidyan. So that is yes. So the Vaidya is a doctor, and he not only is a capable person to figure out things, he is also capable to figure out what condition the person is in, and he is also able to connect with that person and give a suitable sort of a remedy. So so there are, these 3 are the basic levels, and the levels and the studies are prescribed basis these 3 levels. So it is unlike MBBS or MD or MS, where the focus is primarily only on knowledge. Here the focus is, there is an emotional aspect, there is an intellectual aspect as well. So, and the 4th level is called Praneshwara. So the person who has the capabilities, we don't probably see people of this caliber today, person who has the capability of getting into the prana of that particular another person and giving a healing solutions. So you would have noticed, there are people at various corners of the country who have these capabilities. So who are not only Vaidyans, who have the capability of getting into the other person's thing and then give a solution. So you would find out, allopathy has kind of failed. There are people who have gone to these Vaidyans and Praneshwaras kind of people and then got themselves healed. So that is the 4-level distinction as far as medicine is concerned. And now you draw a complete parallel with respect to astrology. So we start with somebody who's commonly called as a Pandit. Okay. So he has the ability to see the chart and then figure out various issues and all that. Then you have the next level, who is called a Jyotishi, or what do you call, a person who not only is able to predict, but he is also able to kind of figure out your karma. He is also able to figure out, you have come into this world with one particular set of karmas, and then you need to fulfill that. And to fulfill those karmas, what needs to be done from that perspective. So that is the next level. Then you have another level who is a super Jyotishi kind of a thing. He is technically, he can be called as a Samvatsara, or he can be called as a Nakshatra Darshi. So he not only has the insight of your karmas, but he also has an insight of what the planets intend for you. So from that perspective, he is also having an emotional and an intellectual connect with you. And then the final stage, the stage where the Vaidyan is there or the Pranagyan is there, the stage here in astrology is called Daivagnan, the person who sees God's light, and he intends to communicate. It's like a pujari or a purohit in a temple, he's supposed to be a medium between you and God.
Right.
So ideally, if they are sincere in their pursuit and they have a strict disciplined life, so he passes on the messages, he or she passes on the messages of God to you. So similarly, a Devagnan is a person who understands that light and he's able to sort of connect that light with your life kind of thing. So these are the 4 stages in that we draw exactly parallelly to what the Indian or the Vedic medicine has.
Right. So as a person, what type of an astrologer should I be going to?
So you will not find a Devagnan
Right.
from today's context. You
Okay.
know, there are it is a very, what do you call, it's a concept which is very difficult to achieve. So the next level, the Nakshatra Darshi and the Samvatsara or a super speciality Jyotishi is also reasonably very difficult to find. So the commonly found things is an astrologer or a pandit, and then you have a level of a Jyotishi is kind of figured out. You can sort of find out a Jyotishi. Maybe out of 50 astrologers, there will be one good Jyotishi. Okay. So you will be able to figure out that particular person. Because this calls for a very strict and disciplined life. So it calls for a life from a physical perspective, a disciplined life from a mental, spiritual, mantra chanting and emotional kind of a perspective. And not many people have the capability to kind of live to that level of expectations.
So you're saying that there is a high probability that I might find a Jyotishi type of a person amongst who could be the best.
Yes.
And it is good to consult him.
Yes. So like if you draw a parallel with Indian medicine, so Ayurveda. So in Ayurveda you will maybe out of 100 Ayurveda doctors that you meet, you will find a good Vaidyan.
Right.
So a Vaidya is a person who's supposed to have a good level of spiritual upliftment in himself, and then only he can transfer that to his customers. So from that perspective, a Jyotisha or a Samvatsara, the ratio is kind of similar. Maybe 1 in 50, 1 in 100 kind of a thing. You will be able to find one good person.
What are the qualities that we should look at to identify such a person when we go and meet, let's say, about 50 astrologers? So what are the characteristics that a Jyotishi exhibits? How does one figure out if a person is a Jyotishi or a regular astrologer?
So it's reasonably very simple. So suppose you sort of see Rahul Dravid's commitment towards that game. Just for an example, you figure out that that person is 100% committed to that game. So there is nothing apart from cricket that is in his mind. So similarly, any profession, including Jyotishi, there is a spiritual component to Jyotishi as well. Selfless service, not money oriented kind of a person. The person is not utilizing the other's weakness or strength for his or her own benefit kind of a thing. So the person who is reasonably smart will be able to figure this out. So I may be able to predict your details very clearly, but that prediction should not be from a show-off perspective. The prediction should not be from a perspective that I need to extract something from your life kind of a thing. So, and the lifestyle and the behavior of that person gives an indication of, suppose you are a chain smoker and then you are drunk, and you may be an intellectual from that perspective. So you may have seen professors who are extremely intellectual, and but that doesn't qualify you to become a Jyotishi. It qualifies you to become an astrologer to a certain extent, because you are taking this profession as any other profession. But ideally it is not so. If you want to upgrade yourself and move levels, these 4 levels, there has to be a certain level of discipline which needs to be there in your life. So in terms of mantra chanting, not only that, there are karmas that you are imbibing out of seeing charts. So one person's karma for one life itself is tough for a person to handle. So in case you are saying 1000 charts in a month kind of a thing, or in a week kind of a thing, you are imbibing karmas of different people. You need to have a mechanism where you can dissipate those negativities onto the atmosphere. So that earth, it's called earthing, right? So a transformer needs to have an earthing. Electricity current needs to have an earthing. So that earthing, if it is not there, it is better to stay at the first level. Otherwise, you can attempt moving the next levels.
Right. So it is, but even if you go meet an astrologer, he can still give you he can still point you in the right direction and help you out move in the right direction, right? So that is good enough for you to move forward in life. For all the problems that you
So it is not necessary that you need to meet a Devagnan or a Jyotishi or a Samvatsaran to get your issues solved. You can get your issues solved by meeting an MBBS doctor. You need not, or an MD or a surgery specialist. You need not wait for that one person who is, having capability to get into the prana stage and all that. It's not necessary. So the basic level should be able to solve the problem.
So, like Anand discussed, the Indian or the Vedic tradition essentially looks at everything in a holistic manner, right? So if you look at the basis for Ayurveda doesn't, or the Vedic style of medicine just doesn't treat the body, but it looks at body as a body-mind complex, right? So it is a very beautiful interconnection between the body and the mind, right? So that is what it looks at. So similarly, even when you go to an astrologer, there is a very beautiful connection in terms of what is happening at the mundane level and what is happening at the level of the mind as well. So this is something that is very different from the Western style of thinking, where you look at a particular symptom and then you treat it, but not at the root cause. And this is where Vedic astrology and Ayurveda differentiate themselves by going back to the root cause and attempting to solve things at the root rather than actually treating the symptom, right? So if you like this video, do subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.